The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Songwriter Show. I'm your host Sarantos, and I love being with you every Tuesday night. Thank you for tuning in. I'm a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words are so important to me, and that's why I'm thrilled to host this show, because I believe every song is a story. The Songwriter Show is broadcast live on #1 ranked W4CY Radio and has listeners in all 206 countries in the world and every state in America. The station is also licensed with ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and Sound Exchange, and has partnerships throughout the music industry, including iHeartRadio and exposure to over 300 million listeners. Tonight's guest is Omega. Omega is well known for his songwriting and production credits. He's a DC native, but he switches it into a higher gear as he steps out of his natural environment to conquer the world. Rushing straight out of the gates as he wrote and engineered alongside for many notable entertainers, including Kelly Rowland, Maroon 5, Nicki Minaj, Jennifer Lopez, and Chris Brown, before co-writing and co-producing Jackie's breakout hit, Feel It. Omega has established a firm foundation to transition from songwriter to recording artist and producer to send him into the heart of the music listener's world internationally. Welcome to the show, Omega. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So tell me a little bit. You're born in D.C. and I think you're currently in Atlanta, correct?
Yeah, I was born in D.C. originally, in Southeast. We stayed in my grandmother's house in Northwest, but eventually I moved everywhere kind of growing up, but I consider Atlanta my second home.
Cool. Well, that's a great second home, man. I've been through Atlanta a couple of times, and I think the thing I remember the most is you guys have these like 6 or 8 lane super highways, and I'm from Chicago, so I'm kind of jealous because we have these like 3-lane things, and very impressive, man.
Yeah, they call this Spaghetti Junction. I mean, it's a lot of lanes, but it causes a lot of accidents, and a lot of traffic. So it's kind of bittersweet.
Does it really? Okay, I would think the opposite. I would think it has less traffic, but what do I know? Yeah. The other thing about Atlanta, every time I go there, man, the barbecue, the food is great. I mean, if I lived in Atlanta,
I'd get fat here.
Yeah, I would be like 100 pounds heavier for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's why, well, no disrespect to women, but we have the thickest women out here, so.
So let's talk a little bit about your music. How old were you when you started playing, and what did you start playing?
Oh, man. I've always been interested in music because it's kind of been around me. My mom used to manage a group when I was growing up called Umoja. My aunt professionally sang, and my aunt was like my mother. My mom had me kind of young, so my aunt really played a major role in my life when I was, kind of coming up. But I didn't actually consider music until I was about 7. I would write down lyrics every now and then, but where I come from, it's really unrealistic. You got to find something that's going to make real money. I never really thought that I would get older and actually jump. You know what I mean? But I've only had one instrument of interest ever since I was about 9 years old, and that was the guitar. I've always loved the guitar. Ever since the first time I saw one, I remember going to my mom, asking her "Yo, can we please, can we get a guitar?" But I come from poverty, so if her boyfriend couldn't get it, I wasn't getting it. So by the time I turned about 18, I had got a regular job, and I was working at Costco, and in Costco, they have this section of the store where they have seasonal items come in. And one time they had a whole bunch of jumbo Yamaha guitars, and I bought that guitar, and that was kind of how I started.
That's a great story, man. Yeah, so, I've heard Costco's great to work for, and hopefully they gave you a nice discount there to get you started.
Yeah, right.
What drew you to the guitar? Is there something specifically that really attracted you to it that you can point out to us, or just the feeling?
Marley, man. I like my aunt. My aunt. The reason why I really, really like music, or I believe why I stuck with it, is because when I was about 11, my aunt, we had a lot of spiritual conversations, and I consider myself a spiritual dude, and she would tell me that music is the first line of defense in the army of the Most High God. And I remember that intriguing me so much at that age. I was only 9, and I was like, man, like, that's dope. Like, I want to be a general in that mother. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
She also turned me on to reggae a few years later before she had died. And Bob Marley, when I first came into Bob Marley, I was like, I don't know why people like this. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, because I'm kind of like if I like an artist, I don't necessarily like the hits, because I like what their true story. And the hits is just kind of, sometimes they're very commercialized and generalized. It's not the artist's true story. But when I really got into Bob Marley, I used to think that he was the one playing the solos in his records. And I was like, yo, Bob was so dope. Like, Bob was playing and later I found out he was playing the rhythm, and it was actually Junior Marvin playing the solos. And I thought to myself, like, yo, how dope would an artist be that can actually play his solos and rap? And so that's how I created myself.
Yeah. So, it's very interesting you bring that up, and we've talked about it on the show before. So how do you feel about some of these artists who, let's say they're the pretty boy, the pretty girl, but they can't really sing, they don't make their own music, they don't write their own lyrics, they're just basically this poster child, and there's all these people like you behind the scenes doing everything for them? Is that good? Is that bad? What are your feelings on that?
It's a little bit of both. To me, artists like that, it's no disrespect to what they do, because to me they're visual artists, they're image artists. Yes, they need, just like a movie, like they're actors. They didn't write the story, they didn't direct the story, they didn't produce the scene, but they're valuable because of their likeness and their personality. So I don't take a lot away from that. I really respect true musicians like Prince, like Michael Jackson. When you have the full package of a really true musician, then that's kind of where I kind of gauge that. But as far as, if you can't really sing or rap and you got in and you're making money, like, wow, like that's kind of, it's pretty dope. Does it take away from the art? I don't think so, because the art is never going to go anywhere. And people that truly want to seek that knowledge, they're going to find it. And those who appreciate it, they're going to appreciate it. They're going to find it. So that's not about that.
Yeah, I get that. That's totally true. And, it's fascinating and also very interesting. You have a great perspective, because a lot of people out there just bash people that aren't as artistic. But I think you're right. I think it's just like an actor. He didn't write the screenplay, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have value and he's not like worth something. Everyone's got their role to play. So I think that's a very good perspective that you have. And I think it's probably underappreciated. More people should think like that, I think.
Well, just to add to that, will say that if an artist knows they can't really sing, they know they don't write their songs, they know they don't really have a lot of talent, don't say you're a musician. That's my only rule. You know what I mean? Like, you have to own your truth. You have to own your genuineness. So I respect what you do, but also respect that you exist in a space that you're not a professional in. You're an actor, So I have a balanced mind when it comes to that. But yeah, I don't think that they should be that. And this industry is difficult that deals with it. Either you're doing music or you're doing management. It's difficult for all of us. So anybody to reach any type of level of success to where they're able to take care of their families and like pay their bills, that's a blessing, man. I can't hate on that. Yeah,
no, I get it. What is your process? Do you start with the guitar? Do you start with the drum beat? Do you start with lyrics, a melody? How do you typically get started on most of your songs?
Well, when I first started out, I used to only use a pencil and a pad. I would write down ideas with melodies. But eventually, after I learned how to record myself, I was able to create a lot of different creative processes, because sometimes we just get stumped. And when you are in the business of producing music or making music, there is some type of machine quality that comes with that. For example, like quantity. I prefer quality over quantity, but we're in the business of making songs. So I wanted to have as many skills at my disposal that I could possibly have when it comes to creating. Now where I'm at is usually not only do I produce, I have a whole team of in-house producers. Shout out to Bam, shout out to Chad Wells, shout out to Retro Loso, a whole bunch of y'all. But usually they'll give me something or I'll start something with my guitar and I have to hear it. You know, making music is not hard unless you make it, you know. And some of the best songs that are still around that's like 30 and 40 years old was made in 5 minutes. I want to keep that magic. So if I hear something, and I usually start with a hook, if I hear a good hook or a chorus right when I'm inspired by that record and I finish it ASAP, then I'm most likely going to finish the verses in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And there's another song, and I'll just go on to the next one.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like you collaborate. Do you collaborate all the time, some of the time? How does that work for you?
I collaborate to keep myself relevant and also because I love music. So I love constantly getting ideas from people that are not myself. However, the business kind of makes collaborating weird sometimes because I have been in a few situations where, you know, get in their high horse and it's just like, oh, well, I think I'm this and I think I'm that. And me personally, it's all about the music. You know, that's what it really comes down to. In a perfect world, I'll be able to collaborate with as many musicians as I possibly want to, and we could create all these natural sounds without having to worry about hitting quotas, marketing plans, or brands, you know? But yeah, at the end of the day, I do understand. So I try to keep a good balance with it because I feel that as a creator, I will become stagnant and plateaued if I only did my own things, you know what I mean? But when it comes to other people, they just provide that spark sometimes. It's like even like ages, like different ages. Like I like to work with older and younger people. The older guys, they give me a lot of wisdom and insight on how to navigate the waters, you know? But the young dudes got the spark that I had, you know what I'm saying? Like I've had 17, 18-year-old dudes that's like, you know, they're so excited and ready to do the music thing that it re-inspires me. So I try to keep an open mind when it comes to collaborations, but I also try to maintain discipline.
Yeah, I think both are important. I think you hit it spot on. So you tell us a little bit about your family growing up. What's your fondest musical memory in your first 15 years of life?
I would have to say when I went to the studio for the first time with my mom. She was managing this group, and they were all singers, like real singers. And the name of the group was Emoja. And I will never forget being bored out of my mind in the studio. And I was just like, what are you guys doing in here all day? Like, I remember just being so bored out of my mind. But I also remember being in an area, I take that back, not an area, but being in a room where obviously people loved what they were doing. It was a vibe, you know, and being around people that love what they're doing is way different from being around people who's working a job. And so I remember the feeling that I got from that, being in that studio, being so young. And I just always kind of wanted to capture that moment, not necessarily staying in the studio, which I do now anyway, but I wanted to capture being around people who do what they love all day. Yeah. So that's my fondest childhood memory that I can remember of music, other than buying my first guitar.
Yeah. What do you think makes a good studio session?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
What do you think makes a good studio session?
Music is all about energy and vibe. You know, a good studio session is, to me, is a lot of sage, Palo Santo wood, good incense, you know, a lot of ganja, you know, just like things that kind of lift the spirit, you know, because everybody goes through life every single day. You know, we go through things that we like, that we dislike. It's always kind of a roller coaster. I like to establish a vibe of creativity. Creativity comes from when we're feeling good or we're inspired or we're passionate or we're emotional. You know what I mean? But the emotional negative side of that spectrum doesn't always provide great sessions because you're just mad. You don't really want to talk about how mad you are, you know? So I always try to establish a really good vibe. And I've noticed that once the vibe is good and people are comfortable, maybe they're drinking a little bit, maybe they're slurring a little bit, you know, it's fun. And that's when the best songs actually come out, when people are having fun.
Yeah. Do you teach any music at all or anything?
I do a little bit. I've been able to title myself as a professional guitarist, even though I feel like I'm way beyond because there's a lot of really great guitarists I respect. Jimi Hendrix, Carlos Santana, of course, Bob Marley, Junior Marvin. I can go on and on. Eric Clapton, like I can go on and on. But I only like to teach kids because adults can sometimes have hidden agendas, and I, with the music, I don't really like to deal with the whole, ego perspective of music, because I feel like it robs the purity and the innocence of it. I know how to deal with it, but I don't like to. So that's why I really only like to inspire children, because when I was a kid, a lot of adults that don't know they inspired me in a major way. And I would rather invest into the next generation, because I'm already working with people that's working out here now, so I'd rather inspire the next generation, beginner lessons. Besides, the beginner lessons is what I definitely mastered. So I can definitely give people their absolute money's worth,
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. How do you figure out if someone brings you a song, or you have a song you've come up with that's going to make your album? How do you figure it out if it's a hit in your mind or worth
that's a great
putting
question.
out into the
that's
public?
A great question. Basically, it's a few factors that I consider, but the most important thing is the beat. If people don't like the beat, they're not going to want to listen. It doesn't matter what you say, and that's the first thing they're going to hear. They're not going to hear your voice. They're going to hear the music. They're going to hear that instrument. And it usually the first 10 seconds we hear a record, we know if we're going to like it or not, or even if we're going to be interested in it. So the beat is the very first thing that I listen for. If the beat is modern, it's up to date, it sounds good, or it's unique enough to be, real competition, okay, cool. I believe in real lyrics. I love lyrics. When songwriters are the most poetic geniuses that we have in human existence. I've read some songs that's like, man, I didn't even know that song said that until I read the lyrics, because the delivery and the melody was so good. So even though I love lyrics, I know that all the time that songs that are my favorite, not necessarily going to sell. The melody sells. So in music, what I've come across is that the beat sells first, secondly, the melody sells, and thirdly, the lyrics sell. And then fourthly, the story sells. And a lot of people ask me, like, well, why isn't the lyrics and the story the same thing? No, it's not. Because the lyrics just represent what the story is talking about. The story is here. The lyrics is just a small snapshot that, so I consider all those things when it comes to selecting a record from myself or even from others.
Okay, wonderful.
Does that make any sense? I know I'm rambling.
No, absolutely. No, it makes perfect sense. And we have a lot of people listen to the show. Some of them are songwriters, and some of them are just fans interested in the process, just like, people watching the new NBC show, which is fascinating. And I think puts songwriters in a new light for people to see what they are, what do they do. I think it's what you're saying is great. Do you have any personal advice to someone getting just started in this career that you would give to?
Oh, definitely. This may take a little bit, though, because I'm an advocate in owning your truth and your wealth. I'm an advocate for that. The very first thing is understand how you make money in music. If you don't understand how people make money, how could you ever possibly put yourself in the position to make anything? Understand what PROs do. PRO stands for Performing Rights Organization. That's ASCAP, BMI, CSAC. Understand what they do, please. Secondly, understand intellectual property law, because that's what music actually is. Music is intellectual property. And so when you create a record, usually there's copyrights that go along with that, but every record is different. You know what I mean? But the very first, most important step to creating anything with music is your PRO. If you have like a lot of songs and you're like, okay, I want to give this artist, or maybe I'm thinking about putting this out, and you don't have ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC, if your song goes number one tomorrow by accident, you will not get paid. So please, anybody listening, like I can't stress this enough. Go research Performing Rights Organization and sign up today if you're serious about your career.
Yeah, that's great advice too. So we're going to talk a bunch, but I want to take this time to ask you, can you let the audience know what your website is? Where can they purchase your music if they want it?
Oh, definitely. I'm in the process of building my own website to where it's a HUD of everything that I have out there because I have a lot of work. However, I'm on all streaming platforms: Apple, Spotify, Tidal, Pandora. You just have to kind of Google my name. I have a few names out there. I go by Omega the Kid and Omega the King. I'm starting to cross over to Omega the King because I'm a little older now, and even though I still feel that I'm that kid, I feel that I've grown into a king. So if you're looking for me, you can just go into Apple. You can type in Omega the Kid, OmegaThakid, or Omega the King, OmegaThakking, and you'll find me. I'm also on Audio Mac. I'm everywhere. It's actually probably easier for people to Google me.
Perfect.
Not to sound like,
Yeah,
like an
I get it. No, I get it, man. So we're going to listen to your song in a couple of minutes here. Tell us about the song, the inspiration to it, what it means to you, and what you want us to know about it when we listen to it.
Man, this song is called Feelings, and I love this song. This song was inspired by a woman. I will not say her name. However, there's a few scenarios that's happened in my life where it's kind of like popular to make fun of Drake because people say he's really emotional and things like that, So I decided to actually make a song about it and admit, because some women, when they come into your life, man, they put you in your feelings. And I feel that real men with real strength can say that. So that's this record. Omega the Kid, Feelings. Let's get it.
Okay. Okay. I'll tell you what. Let's take a break, take a listen to the song, and then we'll come back and we'll ask you a few more questions. Okay.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
All right. No problem. All right. Here we go. We're going to hear a song right now.
Tryna sound like Drake, but you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. Now I ain't tryna sound like Drake, no. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings. She a feeling, really. Get it like a whole million. I just wanna chill in it. If I'm coming up strong, then I'm sorry. You looking like a Ferrari. She wanna let me ride all day. I put it in drive, didn't say it. We gon' go up, we gon' get drunk, you gon' get fucked. You know what's up, I've been on mine. Hard on this grind, I don't have time. She said that it's fine. Moving low key, that's when we creep. So they won't see, hop in my Jeep. She throw it on me, then I go deep, Put your ass to sleep, girl. Now I ain't tryna sound like Drake, but you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. Now I ain't tryna sound like Drake, no. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings. I swear she's a stone cold goddess. I finally don't need nobody. A real shame how to try to play you. I tell you they ain't worth it while I'm banging you. My favorite song's playing on the radio. Catch you if you ever fall. You need it, you know who to call. Yeah. We gon' get drunk, you gon' get fucked. You know what's up? I've been on mine, hard on this grind. I don't have time. She said that it's fine. Moving low key, that's when we creep. So they won't see. Hop in my Jeep, she throw it on me. Then I go deep. Put that ass to sleep. I ain't tryna sound like Drake, but you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. Now I ain't tryna sound like Drake, no. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings, girl. But you really got me in my feelings.
Very, very cool. I kept hearing that phone, and I was like, wait, is my phone ringing? I'm like, what? That was part of the track, right? After a while, I was like, wait, I think it's in the song. Yeah, very cool, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, you know, I'll sometimes put in some of my songs, like I have a song coming out next month called Drugs, about all the famous musicians that died from drug overdoses. And, you know, it's kind of like basically alternative rock, hip-hop kind of thing. But at one point in the chorus, it says, you know, drugs always get the last laugh. And I put this, like, evil laugh there, right? So I review every song, and people are like, half the people loved it and thought it was creative. Half the people hated it. They're like, what's with that, like, you know, sinister, you know? So I love stuff like that. I love things that are out of the box, and it's not just like a drum, bass, guitar, and vocals.
Right.
So that was very cool. It catches it's ear candy, you know, it's different.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, you know, and I feel the same way. I love putting you in the moment. You know, when I create music, I try to put you in my mind as a movie theater, you know, and sometimes you'll hear something on the right side of your ear, not the left, because somebody's walking on your right, you know, so I try to incorporate, you know, spatial sounds or just life things as much as possible. Sometimes when I record, there's like, I like to record in houses a lot because I don't know, it just reminds me of where I started. And sometimes, a couple times actually, I've been in the house and I've been recording, and you know how the battery and the smoke detector is like getting low, so it's beeping. I left it in the recording, and it sounds so real, you know. Like, I used to think that people would kind of like that unprofessionalism or anything like that, but it just adds culture to what I'm doing, and I can really put you where I was at that time when I created that song. Because in my opinion, any type of recording, anything like doing records, taking pictures, it's a form of time travel, you know? So that's one of the things that I definitely like to play around with my sounds.
Yeah, the one thing, you know, it's interesting you said that, but I've heard of people that take their laptops and go to archaeological sites or famous ruins, and some of those places, I went to Greece over the summer, and I don't remember where we were at. It had the coolest reverb, and I'm like, man, I wish I had like something here that I could record other than my iPhone, because it's cool, it's different, it's so creative.
The world is a plethora of beautiful vibrations. I mean, honestly, if to get a little like scientifical, we're all, even physical matter is a form of an energetic vibration, you know? That's why we like music. You know, and since our body is filled with 75% water, when you hear a certain tone that resonates with you or you like, you know, it makes the water in your body boil and you want to hear it. You know, so that's why I really like music, man. It's almost like magic. Yeah. And I'm really into magic. Oh, my God. I love magic.
So I feel like you have to incorporate that into your music somehow, you know?
Man, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm going to get it one day. I think it's more of a visual thing, but you know, because magicians, like sleight of hand, they're some of the most coolest people on the planet to me. Yeah, absolutely. You know? So music is my form of magic.
Yeah, that's cool. So one of the things I like to ask a lot of guests on the show, and I'm going to ask you now, is, you know, I personally, and I know a lot of indie artists have fallen for scams. So is there one you want to warn us about that you've fallen for, one you've heard about, so we can kind of protect each other?
Definitely. I mean, I'm gonna have to do my top 3 because there's a lot. Like, I need all of your listeners to understand that there are people that make a living off of selling you dreams and you cashing in, you know, and you will get nowhere. One of the really, really big scams now is, and this is my opinion. So, you know, but I'm also open to debate. I'm really good at debating. So if anybody wants to debate me, I'm with it. But one of the biggest scams to me nowadays is buying followers. Even the biggest celebrities in the industry have pseudo followers. Why? Because we have this false sense of image that it just doesn't make any type of sense, and it doesn't make any type of money. And we have a lot of people out here that are scamming people just so that they can feel famous, you know. And my thing is that's one of the most detrimental things you can do to your career, because one, it makes it difficult for you to gauge your actual growth, your real fans, you know, and then 2, it makes you look like how the industry used to be, super polished artists. the consumer nowadays, they don't want super polished artists. They want people they feel like they grew up with, people that they feel like is next door, people they feel like they worked with. That's where music is going to, and it's obvious. So when you pump your numbers and you do things like, now I do understand that you have to look like where you want to go. For example, if I want to work in an office building, then I need to dress how they dress in the office building. I'm completely understandable about that. However, when you buy followers, that is the equivalent of pretty much lying on a resume. There's no point. And you wasted your money. You could have spent that money towards actual marketing dollars. The other scam, which I hate, is the indie radio promo management scam. And what I mean by that is there'll be some guys who pretty much has a laptop and a microphone, and they'll charge, artists that are actually willing to invest in their careers to pretty much do a radio promo tour. But it's not really a tour. It's just these guys taking laptops from house to house to house to house in one city and saying, hey, we're on this side of the city now, and we have this. Don't waste your money on that. It's just stupid. You have to do your due diligence and research the people that you plan on spending your money with, man, because you worked hard for it, and you're investing it to grow it to eventually get more of that to reinvest it back into your career. So I've made a lot of these mistakes. Please don't make these.
Yeah.
Watch out for these scams. Yeah.
I hear you. I can tell you that I definitely made the first one. I've been doing this officially 6 years, and you research it, and again, like you said, everyone famous is doing it, and you assume, and you're not really trying to buy followers. What you're trying to do is buy marketing services from people you think are legit, including Facebook itself. So then you quickly realize that, hey, I spent money on Facebook, and you got a bunch of fake followers in Turkey. And it's just so frustrating. So I basically, about 2 years ago, I stopped completely cold turkey. I don't promote anything. I don't really boost. I don't like I don't do anything. And this way, if I get like 10 likes on a post and 8 retweets or whatever I get, I know it's legit. Because otherwise, I racked my brain trying to figure out, well, why didn't everybody buy this, this CD?
Exactly.
And you can't figure out, you're like, it's bullshit. It's not real.
Man, I'm going to add on to that. There was a person on Instagram. I think she had, 1.5 million or 2 million followers. She couldn't sell 39 shirts. So it's what a lot of people, especially creators of music, what you have to understand is it's all about awareness. If you create a record, even if you think that record is trash, there's somebody in, Uganda somewhere that's like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So that's why the business of music makes sense. However, you devalue yourself when, you're trying to look like something that you're not. I understand that a lot of people are like, I want the people. It's all about awareness. As long as people just see it, they're not going to see it or want to look at it unless people view it, But that's also why YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and even though Instagram is owned by Facebook, they took the third party out and said, hey, if you just spend $30 with us, we'll market your stuff and give you more awareness. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that simple. Like, there's third parties that's like, hey, I can do this for you, and they'll do it. But it's a bunch of robots that won't ever go back to your page or never check out a new song that you have or leave a comment. I mean, of course they can leave comments, but what are they, emojis? Like, it's not even real human interaction, you know what I mean? And we create music for human interaction. That's the base and the root of why we even started music. Like, human history, music was an art of storytelling, of history, and now, even though we have computers and robots, you have to kind of keep a lot of those simple root things involved if you plan on being truly successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Tell me a little bit about, when you think about the Marvel and DC universe, what is your hidden superpower?
Oh, man. This is such a good question, and it's so up my alley. Okay, what would my superpower be? Can it be anything I think of, or do I have like a
anything?
Choice?
Anything.
Oh, man. Because I want to say, like, read minds, but at the same time, do I really want the hell of knowing what people think? Let me think. You know what, man? I would have to say, superpower? I would have to say instant manifestation.
Instant manifestation.
Instant manifestation. If anything that I would want to manifest, I could, boom, just like that, blink of an eye. That would have to be my superpower.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Tell us about, like, the strangest compliment you ever got about your lyrics or your music.
Man, so I'm mixed with Jamaican, even though I don't like to say that because I feel like we're all black, but I'm mixed with Jamaican. So in order to communicate to some of my family members, because they don't speak regular English, they speak Jamaican patois. I learned how to speak patois, like, kind of when I was around, like, 13 or 14 or whatever, to communicate to my dad's side of the family that was in Jamaica. You know, I had the great idea of incorporating part of that culture into my music because it was a part of who I was and also who I looked up to. Well, not who I was, who I am. But I got a few comments when I first came out. Me and my boy Jabbar, we had did a project called Alpha and Omega, and I was speaking a lot of patois things in there. But see, patois is weird. Like, you have to find a really good niche and a good tone in music for it to sound right. That's why reggae is so incredible. But I'll never forget this. We had did a video, and we put the video on World Star, and the video got like 10,000, 20,000 views in like a day. And I was like, yeah, you know. And I went to read the comments. I'm like, man, people really like my video, you know. And there was a lot of love in there. But the weirdest thing I heard was there was a few people was like, he's Jafaking. Why are you Jafaking? And I'm just like, the hell? You know what I mean? Like, that was the weirdest thing to ever hear. That's almost like, you know, somebody telling me I'm not black, you know, like, yeah. it was so strange, like, you know, but I didn't pay any attention to it. It was just interesting, but that was definitely the weirdest comment I've ever heard.
Yeah. Okay. You consider yourself more of a gatherer or a hunter?
I'm both. Okay. Some days I'm more of a hunter than a gatherer. Some days I'm more of a gatherer than a hunter. I enjoy the hunt. However, I don't want to hunt every day. You know what I mean? Like, some days I really just kind of want to count what I've done and pat myself on the back and appreciate the accomplishments that I've hunted and look at my gathering, you know? And I want to just organize my gathering. So I'm definitely both of those. If I can be both, I'm definitely both.
Okay. What was the last gift someone gave you in the last year that really, really resonated with you?
Man, my guitar. So of course, being a songwriter artist, I found my sound once I truly learned how to record myself. I took that skill of recording myself, and I went to the studios, working as an engineer, do different things like that. I was working at this one studio in downtown Atlanta, and my car had got broken into at night. And I was going through a lot of things at the time. I was homeless, so I was pretty much living out of my car. So pretty much all of my belongings was in my car my entire life. I always bring the majority of my music things with me wherever I go, including my guitar, which that guitar, her name was Marie. I named her after my aunt. My aunt died at 47, by the way, of cancer. So that's why I refer to her a lot, because a lot of things in my life, I like to honor her with it. But when I was at the studio, they broke in my guitar and pretty much stole, they broke in my car and stole my guitar. They stole a lot of my belongings. They stole pretty much 1/3 of my life. And I didn't know what I was going to do, man. And around my birthday, my mom and some of my closest friends, shout out to Issa, man. Shout out to Elo, shout out to Mello. They came together and they bought me another guitar. And not only did they buy me another guitar so I can continue to work, they bought me an acoustic electric guitar, which is one of the things I've always wanted since I was a kid. And that was the most thoughtful. Oh, man. That was the greatest gift that I've gotten to date, I believe, because it was the gift of music.
And so I assume you never had this type of guitar before?
No.
Okay.
No, man. Like, I come from nothing, you know, and so every little thing that I get extra is a blessing and it's appreciated, you know, and I don't really expect anything from anybody. I just like to work hard and enjoy the fruits of my labor. You know, when my car got broken into, I was pretty broken, man. Because this is all I know, you know, like I'm a good businessman. I know how to do other things well, but I believe in being a master at least something, and music is what I've chosen. And so it was very psychological when they broke into my car and took my guitar. They took a part of my soul, you know. So I felt that when my family and my friends came together to give me that gift, I felt that they were mending my soul back together. And I've always been pretty independent and kind of on my own. And I've never really asked anybody for anything. To see that, man, that was crazy.
Yeah,
that was
really
crazy.
Cool. Yeah. If you could tell us what, to the core of you, what inspires you? Like, is there a person? Is there a expression? Is there a role model? Like, what really inspires you musically?
There's two things. Well, actually, I'll say three. The first is the Most High God, period. None of this would be possible without the Most High. Secondly, I love Gandhi saying, you have to become the change that you want to see. I live by that. I can't complain about issues in the world if I'm not willing to become the change that I want to see. Lastly, Bob Marley, man. Bob Marley changed my life. He did. Bob Marley changed my life, man. You know, like, there's a book, and like growing up in the ghetto, bro, it's not cool to read, you know, so I didn't really get into reading books until I was a little older. You know, I used to fall asleep on them, but one of the first really big books that I read was Catch a Fire, The Life of Bob Marley. And just reading that book and then listening to this man's music and then listen, like, he is my inspiration. Like, that's just what it is. And also, you know, to my first inspiration, which is the Most High God, he ties into that as well. So it's like, that is everything that drives me behind my music. On top of that, because, you know, it's like a cake, you know, there's like the 3 layers. The icing on that is my life experiences. I've had a pretty rough life. And even though I know that there's a lot of people out there that's probably had a rougher life, I've had a pretty hard life. And thank God I'm not in jail. I'm not dead. I'm not bitter. I'm not on the street being an alcoholic, playing the guitar, trying to get change, you know. So I try to take the experiences that I go through and use my music as therapy, because I don't know who could be going through the same things out there just like myself. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. I know that was kind of all over the place. I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. It does make sense. Tell us one more time your website where people can buy your music.
Yes. So the website's getting worked on. However, Instagram, Twitter, you guys can definitely reach me on there. I always have links on my social media. So you can always, if you're ever confused, you can always go there and see what else is doing, you know, what I'm doing or whatever. Instagram, it's Omega the King, OmegaThaking. And on Twitter, it's twitter.com/Omega the Kid, OmegaThaKid. I know it's confusing, but I'm literally in the middle of a name change right now, so that's why I have to give both names. But other than that, you can find me everywhere. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Amazon Music, Google Play. I'd like to tell people to either go to my IG and click the link in the bio, or to just Google me, and you'll see a lot of stuff pop up under my name.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll search for your name tonight when I post on my socials. But do you have a cool story about the funniest thing that's happened to you in the last couple of weeks that you want to share with us?
Man, I have a lot of stories. Okay, let me think. Let me think of a really, really good one. Okay. So, you know what? All right. So I was in the studio and I was working on a few records for a couple artists I can't name because they're actually really about to come out and do their thing. But I was working on a couple records, and this guy comes in the studio and he's like, "Hey man, how much you charge for studio time? Blah, blah, whatever." I'm like, "Hey, well, I'm like, you know, pretty much running this room, but I'm not the owner. Go ahead and talk to this person over here and they'll do what they got to do, you know?" So I was like, all right, I didn't think anything of it. Finished the session. I started working on some of my songs. I started putting on my guitar, this, that, and the other. This dude ends up being freaking Rihanna's manager.
Wow.
And yeah. And like after I do my, like, I'm completely comfortable. I didn't smoke. I'm like making music, and it's like, "Man, you're really good. You know, you're really, really, really good." And I'm just like, "Thanks." You know, like, it's not me, it's God, you know, like I wouldn't be able to do this without that. And he started talking. He was like, "Yeah, man, the artist I'm managing, you know, she's really looking for new talent, and she's looking for guys that's kind of like she really wants a lot of, guys and girls that are kind of on this type of way, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, what's the artist name? And he was like, oh, well, I'm pretty sure you've heard of her. She has a nickname, and everybody calls her Riri, but, I call her Rihanna. And I'm like, Rihanna? Like Rihanna Fenty? Like Rihanna? Like Jay-Z Rihanna? And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, let me show you. And he pulled his phone out, and he showed me all these pictures, and I was literally frozen. I was like, wow, like, thanks. That's when I got nervous, because I'm like, I want her to hear a song of mine.
Yeah. Moments like that are life-changing, man. It's really cool. That's a cool story.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I ended up meeting her, too, by the way, so.
Awesome, man.
I'm sure
wow.
she doesn't remember. Yeah.
But I'm sure you do, right? All right, man. That's, we're at
I definitely remember. Yeah. I want to meet her again. Hopefully get a record.
All right, man. Omega, it was awesome having you on the show. That gets us to the end of the show, man. It's been a real pleasure, and I wish you nothing but the best. And, hopefully our paths will cross at some point.
Man, look, you can follow me on social media right now. I follow back real people. Once again, on IG, that's Omega the King, OmegaThaKing. And the pleasure was all mine, man. Thank you for even considering me.
All right, Omega. Have a great night.
You too. Peace.
Okay. So in conclusion here, I want to thank everyone for listening to our show tonight. Omega was a wonderful guest. I want to thank him for being on the show. If anyone out there is an artist and wants to be on the show, please feel free to contact me directly via email or the website. I hope everyone's unique story gets heard around the world. My name is Sarantos, and please join me here every Tuesday night to hear other amazing artists share their fascinating behind-the-scenes stories right here at the Songwriter Show. And tonight, I'm going to leave you with one of my songs called No One's Perfect Until. The backstory to this song is, life can be tough. Living really isn't for the weak. I've seen a whole lot of friends of mine and family even over the years wasting their time treading quicksand. I've even been there myself. Life gets messy and we all make mistakes. So I thought it'd be really cool to write a rock song about imperfection. Specifically, when we're in love, we never see the imperfections of the other person. Nobody really is perfect until we fall in love with them. So I thought this would be a really unique point of view, and I started writing. So I hope you enjoy the song, and I'll see you again next Tuesday night. Have a wonderful night and have a great week.
Living isn't for the weak. Too many friends of mine spent decades in free fall, waiting for a sign. Clock ran away from me, lessons learned left me burnt. Body grew heavy, life got messy. I didn't just make mistakes, I made choices, created heartaches, ignored the noises. You never had my attention, though you deserved it way more than that. In me, saw no damn imperfection, just a rose without its stem. Every day I asked you why, oh why, always got the same reply. You said no one's perfect until you fall in love with them. No one is perfect until you fall in love with them. No one's perfect until you fall in love. You fall in love with them. Down red carpet, so unsure where to go. Fell under fast, wet, nowhere, down an empty road. Slept on both ends of the bed, only realized after the fall. The most important things in life aren't things at all. I didn't just make mistakes, I made choices, created heartaches, ignored the noises. Never had my attention, though you deserved it way more than that. In me you saw no damn imperfection, just a rose without its stem. Every day I asked you why, oh why, always got the same reply. You said no one's perfect until you fall in love with them.
No one is perfect until you fall in love with them. No one's perfect until you fall in love, with them. Your heart always kept its own time. I loved breathing in your sunshine. You are allowed to choose what you faith is for.
Never had my attention, though you deserved it way more than that. In me you saw no damn imperfection, just a rose without its stem. Every day I asked you why, oh why, always got the same reply. You said no one's perfect until you fall in love with them.
Nothing is perfect until you fall in love with them. Until you fall in love with
If something can go wrong, it will twice. But with you by my side, every day will forever be paradise. We've made this the greatest love story of all time.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.